Hello, and welcome to the Table and Well podcast. I'm Tennison.
And I'm Ginelle. Thank you for joining us as we discuss topics and give practical tools that help you live, grow, and be in healthy, joy-filled relationship with God, yourself, and others.
For more information and resources, or if you're looking for coaching, connection, and community, visit tableandwell.org. We hope you enjoy this podcast. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the Table and Well podcast. This is episode number 37 of season 3, and we are still navigating through our series, Wisdom Keepers, the role of elders in building a healthy community. And in this episode, we will be concluding our conversation with Amy Glaser from alive&well. And again, as always, if you have not listened to the previous 2 podcasts, I want to encourage you to go back and do so. There's just, again, so much there and just great conversation. So in this podcast today, we will be exploring what does it look like for us to repair and grow at the same time. You know, a lot of us are in that season of life, and we are elders, and we've again discovered that there are a lot of gaps that we have, and we want to be everything that God has designed for us to be as elders in our community. And in order to do that, as we talked about last week, one of the things we need to do is make sure that we are eldering our families. And so how do we practically repair and grow at the same time? We're also going to talk about what it looks like to help communities remain stable in the middle of really, really hard things. We also will be hearing from Amy and what her dream is for healthy community. And so, guys, I'm just going to get out of the way because we want to conclude this conversation with Amy on the Table and Well podcast, Wisdom Keepers, the role of elders in building healthy community. And that also plays into that capacity piece, because like you may be doing work to heal, and so you can begin to approach that, but whoever that person is, whether it be your adult child or a coworker, whoever, they may not have the capacity for that.
Right.
And so, like, what can they even, I think being really honoring in that, and true elders can, as you were saying, you can ask and like say, hey, what would feel good for you to know? What do you want? How do you want to spend time together? What would feel fun for you? And doing that, because their capacity can handle that. And maybe it's only 20 minutes. Maybe it's an hour, but doing that and building that capacity bank, building that.
Yeah. And if we think about it like a bank account, part of, I think, what needs to be mentioned, we kind of talked about that tucking away, is that it's going to be really hard to build joy in my relationships, no matter where on the maturity scale I am, if I don't have any joy to bring when I come.
Yeah.
And so back to that Emmanuel process and building joy with Emmanuel, and even a gladness to be with ourselves is so critical here. Because if we don't have joy when we're stepping into even that 20-minute offering,
right,
and we're looking for them to be glad to be with us because of pain.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can I be glad to be with you even if you aren't glad to be with me right now? And am I coming with something to put in that bank account, whether or not you're going to give back? I think is really important here too, and really, building that. So that might even look like, in order to be able to show up well for my young adult child, I need to be doing things with friends.
Yes.
To remind
because we
me
want to
of
be
who
able
I am.
to remember, oh, somebody's glad to be with me. Like I can think of, 2 or 3 friends and go, okay, I'm here with this person who is really not glad to be with me. They've given me 20 minutes and it's looking like 10 might have been a better idea. And so but in my brain, I want to hold an image that there are people that are glad to be with me. I know that God is like smiling right now at the fact that we are here together and trying this. And then that comes out on our faces so that we're not depending on them. Oh, please be glad to be with me. So friends are, we got to have good friends.
That's so good. So good. Oh, wow, man. So, kind of flowing in the same space. So how can, and I'm going to preface this with true elders, because I know we've talked about different types of elders in this space. And so how can true elders, regardless of their experience up until they begin to learn these skills and walk these out, um, how can they use those life experiences and the wisdom to help their communities heal and stay stable? And like you're talking about, like, how can they
Mm-hmm.
begin to share some of those things? Because even what we're just talking about is that same idea, because they may not be glad to be with you, but you can come in as a stable presence to help keep things stable. So especially, during those times of transition or tough times or repairing relationships. So yeah, how can they use these past experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, and the wisdom they've gained from those experiences to help their communities stay stable and grow in tough times?
Yeah, I think really the encouragement that, hey guys, this is hard, but we can do this. We can do this. We can stay at the table a little
Mm-hmm.
bit longer than we think we can. We can, and that in and of itself, this idea of, okay, we're just going to stretch ourselves a little bit. We're going to push ourselves a little bit beyond what we thought we could do. And then that's enough. That's
Mm-hmm.
enough. Um, I I listen sometimes to the Pause app with John Eldridge, and
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the little thing, he goes, "That's enough for now." And every time I listen to that old phrase, I'm just like, "Oh, thank you, thank you." So I think as elders, being willing to go, "That's enough for now." So yeah, thank you guys that we had this little conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and we did the 20 minutes, or we did, and yeah, so I think elders, because of our experience of seeing how many things can break down and then recover, and how with over time things can get better, I think we can bring in, along with that stability, nervous system stability, behavioral
Mm-hmm.
stability, but we can bring in hope. Like, oh,
Yeah.
just because this isn't getting better in a month doesn't mean that it's over. Like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. And that's where the stories come in. Oh, yeah, I was distant from this person in my life for a period of time,
Yeah.
and we worked through it, and now we're close. And so, we might need to authentically, transparently share some stories of how things fell apart for us in the past, um, and how we've seen them come back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. I think in those stories are the expression that's the experiences that they've had.
Mm-hmm.
And, before they had the skills, maybe as they were learning the skills and bringing that into those situations, is sharing that experience and the wisdom they learned from that is critical and awesome. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And even if we um, did not handle it well, we can either share a do-over, like what I would
Mm-hmm.
have liked to have done. But I think back to my dad. And so my dad was estranged from his younger brother for a period of time. And then his younger brother had a surgery and very unexpectedly passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And so my dad sat me and my two brothers down, and he said, nothing matters more than your relationship with each other. I am in so much pain because my brother passed away while we were estranged. No matter what happens while your mom and I are alive or after, nothing is more important than relationship. Do not allow anything to destroy that. And that was really powerful because he could have just held on to his pain. He could have
Yeah.
not been transparent
Mm-hmm.
about how hard that was. but he shared it with us, and we've remembered it. So, after they passed, boy, going through the estate stuff, we were like, the relationship is what matters. We don't care about all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that transparency can be really powerful.
Yeah, that's a great story. It's a great example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is just a great reminder of how much stories matter in our communities and in our culture. And it's one of the key gifts that we have lost, is the sharing of story, and that elders really are, they have stores and stores of stories.
Yeah.
I've been there and done that, good, bad, or indifferent. And when we edge them out of our communities and say they're irrelevant or not this or not that, then we miss what we miss their stories and the impact that they make on our lives. And then we end up having to figure it out for ourselves. And no one wins in that space.
Yeah. Life is relationships. Most of us have grown up without learning how to do relationships really well. See, we learn skills such as reading and arithmetic, how to drive a car, or even specific skills needed for work. But what about how to handle big emotions, how to nurture conflict with care, or even to repair relational ruptures and rebuild trust? See, many of us have missed out on the essential skills needed to do relationship. These gaps in our growth affect our lives in very real and painful ways. This is why we have created Relational Collabs. Relational maturity isn't a skill that you're just born with. It must be modeled, learned, and strengthened just like every other skill. Whether you're navigating relationships in your home, in your workplace, or in your community, the Collabs will provide you with the tools and the skills that you need to live relationally well with God, yourself, and others. Growth is possible. Healing is possible. And you don't have to walk this journey alone. Our spring semester of Relational Collabs begins Monday, April 14th. Go to tableandwell.org/collabs for more information and to register today. Join the next Relational Collab and begin to cultivate the life of connection, resilience, and joy that you were made for.
So powerful.
So good. Yeah.
Okay, I have one last question for you. So when we're talking about elders and community and this idea of them building healthier community, what's your dream in regards to this concept of a multi-generational community with elders living in it?
Yeah. So my dream, I think, we can have both a like personal, private kind of a dream that like, I would have a community and I would be able to, I would grow into being welcomed and being willing to be an elder. So that's one thing. But then, yeah, the broader dream, and you guys are part of the broader dream in a way, because the broader dream is that all of us who have caught this vision would find ways to model, like, hey, here's something that we have done that has been helpful to either help mature people to wherever they need to be, or to welcome elders into the community, or for elders to become willing. But I think we have a community of people who are working toward this. And as we share back and forth, here's what was really helpful to me, then it can multiply. So I love that all of us, there are so many of us who are interconnected, that we would be able to, and what I love is like, like you have a model that is somewhat different from the model that I have been using. And for some people, your model will work better than the model that I've kind of worked with. And then there are other models that will work for still other people. And so as we hold all this very open-handedly and going, I am super excited because there are people that I have like said, hey, call Tennison and Ginelle. And, you know, and so forth. So this idea that, yeah, God has given us a little peace and he's blessing that. And it's not the peace. Right. And there's no pressure for it to be the thing. But as we share with each other, we're able to plug more and more people into, hey, I feel like the peace they have is fits what you're talking about. So yeah, just that we would leave behind a legacy of some models for, hey, try, you know, here are, you know, 10 different ways that people have had community in a real life-giving way. Sort through these and see what feels real and like what, and hold them all before Jesus and go, which one of these do you want us for this season of our life to do?
Yeah. And I think that this season is so critical too. We're being that piece. It's like we can be a piece for this season for that person. And in their next season, there's going to be something else waiting for them there. And that there's beauty in that. We all know in our growing journeys that there's different stepping stones along the way, different tools that we've learned that then begin to build on each other. And that is the gift of all of us saying yes to what the Lord's asking us to do, right? Is that we get to be in the right place at the right time for someone. And that's a huge gift.
Yeah. And the beauty too is that we get to take all of these pieces with us into that next season. So we get, you know, all the things that we've learned through different models and different modalities and different whatever and different applications of the same thing, but we move it goes with us into that next space only to grow and deepen our toolbox and our community and our capacity to be who God designed us to be.
Yeah. And my prayer is that there will come a day where we don't need programs to reteach us.
Right.
what we should have experienced firsthand. And
yes, Lord, let it be so. A generation that goes, well, yeah, that's what my family does. That's what I learned. That's how we do with our people around us. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Well, Amy, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure in having this conversation with you, and looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Thanks, guys.
You've been listening to the Table and Well podcast. New episodes stream every Tuesday. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review to let us know. Also, subscribe on your favorite listening platform to stay up to date on all things Table and Well. To learn more, start your journey, or get information on how Table and Well can help develop your community, family, or teams to be relationally healthy and authentically connected, please go to tableandwell.org/collab to schedule an interest call, or you can email us directly at known@tableandwell.org.